And we're back with another asana practice. It's me, Four Keys. And this time we're going to move through, dabbling, talking about our Chandra Namaskar. Last time we did our sun salutation, Surya Namaskar. Chandra Namaskar is our moon salutation. So if sun sals were to wake you up, to invigorate the body, moon salutations are to slow you down. It is a complement to our settling practices in the evening. So, just like last time, disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. I cue from my body, I move from my body, but hopefully I can cue well enough for you to find each of these postures in your own body. Every posture, asana, is just a shape, and every effort in our practice is to move our original shape into this next asana shape. Everybody starts a different shape, so move your shape into the shape that best suits your original form. We'll move through the practices, the asana, the poses, and I'll talk about props and breath. So some of the props we might use for Chandra Namaskar, when it says Surya Namaskar, we're not doing that. We're doing Chandra Namaskar or moon salutations. Some of the props that you might find helpful: a chair, I have my stool hanging out, also blocks, and if you have a funky yoga wheel, anything that brings the floor up to you, because eventually, just like the full moon is closest to the earth, the center of our moon salutation is a squat where we bring our bodies as close to the ground as we can. And sometimes we need to lift the floor up to make that a possibility in the body that we are in today. And breath, again, is intuitive. We will inhale to expand, to widen, to take up space. And our exhale will release and also sometimes reset for this Chandra Namaskar. So next we'll get into the poses, and I'll talk about the props as we move through each pose. And then eventually we'll talk about how we might loop these together. Just like Surya Namaskar, Chandra Namaskar begins at the front of your mat. But instead of moving forward and back, we move left to right. So your Tadasana, your balanced place, will begin facing the long edges of your mat or open to the wide space of your room. If you are whether you begin standing or in a seat, make sure that you have space to move to the left and to the right of you. So we'll find our balanced place with intention, driving the feet down as much as we lift the crown of the head. And then on your inhale, we'll reach the arms up overhead as high as you can. And then on your exhale, we'll take the hands, shoulders, and head over towards the right, leaning towards the inside of our mat. So as we side bend, it's not just about reaching up and over, but engaging the inside body. So drawing that right shoulder down towards the right hip, press down through the legs and let the thighs stay knitted together. And then we'll inhale, come back into center. Exhale, open up wide to Utthita Tadasana, wide, extended, balanced place. Arms will come out wide. And then we'll exhale, bend the knees, sweep the heels in, sink the hips, and find your goddess pose. Utkata Konasana. And then we'll inhale, rise up once more, and find that Utthita Tadasana and pause here. Now, what if that goddess squat, that Utkata Konasana, is intense on your knees and hips? Well, you can find your goddess, bring your chair or your stool, bring your chair into the center of the mat, wherever your hips might land. So set it up before you even begin. If you know that your feet will come to the center section, the front third section of your mat, set your chair right there. So when you are ready to come into your goddess, you take your seat, and pause there. Continue to reach those elbows up in line with the shoulders if it's comfortable in the shoulders. Hands can also stay out and rest at the hips so you can still have the engagement of the back body and the core. Even as you're sitting, press in through the feet and allow those knees to move backwards. Remember, the chair is just a place to rest your hips, not your whole body. One more breath in, and then we'll exhale. Pause in your goddess. So maybe you started from sitting, and you'll reach the arms up overhead as high as you can. Take the gaze up with it. And then as you exhale, we'll take those side bend as much as is comfortable. When you side bend from your seat, make sure that opposite hip is rooted down. Press into the foot so you don't tip yourself over sideways. And then we'll inhale back up to center. And as you exhale and expand, walk the legs out wide and extend as much as is comfortable. Reach through the fingers, press those heels away. You might even lift the heels up and away from the mat. And then as you exhale, bend the knees and come into your goddess. Pause there. One more breath in. And as you exhale, release hands down and come back into center. Take a few breaths in and out. One more breath in and out. If your Chandra Namaskar started in a seat, I invite you to skip these whole next poses. If your Chandra Namaskar started in a seat and you know how to move yourself comfortably through these next sequences of poses, absolutely follow along. If you want to learn how to incorporate a chair into your Chandra Namaskar, follow along here. So we're going to turn our chair backwards, wide, so the back side is facing the long edge of your mat. So move it forward so you can step behind it, or if you want to be fancy, maybe step around it. It's up to you. Move safely and comfortably along your mat. So we reached up, we side bend, and then we find our Utthita Tadasana, and then come into your goddess, right? So from your goddess pose, with elbows in line with shoulders, hands on hips, or hands at cactus, or on hips, but let your elbows be wide, upper body is lifted. And then we'll inhale back up to Utthita Tadasana, and then turn yourself in the direction that you were moving to. So if you side bend over to the right, take your right toes to the back side of your mat. We'll turn our gaze and turn your hips gently over towards the right. Now, for Trikonasana, we'll reach the right hand down towards the right ankle or toes. That is a very deep fold. You ain't got to go that far. Bring hands to hips and tip yourself sideways. So, and as you tip, hinge sideways, work to keep the spine long. Once you come to as much of the side as is comfortable in your body, you can take that right hand down as far as you want it. Now, the left hand can reach up, or it could come to rest on the back of the chair to ensure that that left shoulder is rolling back. Heart space is going to stay open to the long edge of your mat, and settle into your Trikonasana. And we'll inhale back up to Utthita Tadasana, and then we'll continue the rotation of the hips all the way to the back side of the mat. You can take your hands to your hip points to help guide them around. As you guide hips around, take those back toes around with you. Now, balance can be a little shaky here as we change the direction of our hips. That's where our chair comes in. You can take hands away from hips onto the chair and swivel those hips around and prepare for your Parsvottanasana, your pyramid pose, and you'll take your chest down towards your knee. Be careful when you come into this fold that you don't lock your knee out. Make sure that knee is soft. The bend is soft in your knee until you get into your complete fold. Then you might reach that front hip, the right hip, all the way back and find the upper body draped over the front leg. One more breath in, and then you'll inhale slow, half lift. Stay in your half lift. We'll bend the front knee and lift that back heel up. Maybe hands stay on the chair or they rise up. We find our Anjaneyasana. Nope, our Alanasana. Keep the back leg lifted in a high crescent lunge. One more breath in, and now we'll exhale. Take hands back towards your chair, swivel those hips back around, and maybe the chair comes over to the side and we find our side lunge. The hips can stay hovering, or we can go all the way down to the seat and then drag that heel in and find your Malasana squat. One breath in and out. Deep breath in and out. So we're ready for that return trip. I moved my chair off to the side, but if you are hanging out in yours for your practice, keep it along. We've moved already to our right. Now we're making our trip back to the left to the front side of our mat. So our Malasana, even if your Malasana is very close to the ground, you're held, strongest Malasana pose is really close to the ground. We're going to keep the hips lifted to make that ease of transition from our squat into our Ardha Malasana, a little bit more accommodating on our knees and joints. So that left leg will extend now, and then we can find our balance once more. Take another breath in, and as you exhale, bring the hands down towards the floor, and we're going to walk the hands all the way around, bend into that left knee, and swing the right knee underneath, and drop it down, Anjaneyasana. Lift the chest up, open the heart space wide. Now remember, if you are in your chair, take your hips around, and Alanasana, back knee will stay lifted. One more breath in. As we exhale, hands come down, lift that back knee up, straighten out the back leg, straighten out the front knee, and find your Parsvottanasana, your pyramid pose. One more breath in. And as we exhale, take that left hand down to the left ankle. Keep your right hand planted onto the floor. Sweep the right heel in. Right hand can raise up or stay on the right shoulder, right hip, or whatever form your Trikonasana took on the other side. One more breath in. Exhale, come all the way up and find your Utkata Tadasana. Arms wide, toes forward, and then sweep the heels in. Utkata Konasana, goddess pose. Deep breath in. And as we exhale, hands together, feet together, Tadasana. Forgot our side bend. That happens sometimes. If it does, no big deal. Reach your hands up. Palms up overhead. Side bend. Back into center. And Tadasana one more time. Maybe bring hands to rest on heart center. Check in with the body here. Notice any new sensations. Notice the release of any old. Maybe you want a little bit more with your Chandra Namaskar. Next, I'll show you a couple poses that you can sprinkle in if you got a little too much energy to end your night. So you want to put a little extra sauce on your Chandra Namaskar. Cool. Sometimes we got extra energy at night that's left over. we need to settle it a little more. Virabhdrasana II, Warrior II, and Ardha Chandrasana are two poses that fit pretty seamlessly into your Chandra Namaskar. Listen, you could put almost any pose in there if you think hard enough about it, but these are my two suggestions. Feel free to move the way your body needs to move, literally always. That's like the thing about practicing with me. Anyway, let's get into it. Come to Trikonasana. That one, the back foot is in line, the back toes are in line with the long edge of the mat, the front toes are in line with the short edge of the mat. Hips are moving in the same directions. The center of the hips are moving in the same direction as those back toes. Arms out wide, front hand reaches as far down the front leg as we can, right? The shoulders are stacked. Now, from here, we can bend into that front knee and come back up. Pop into our Virabhdrasana II. And then from here, with the gaze forward, bring that back hand down to the hip, and then reach your right hand, that front hand, towards the floor, towards a chair, towards a block, towards a stool. Press in, lift that back heel up and away, and lengthen out through that front leg. Straighten out the front leg. If you feel steady and sturdy, top hand can reach all the way up, and you'll find your Ardha Chandrasana. Now that back foot can come down first, or we can get fancy, bend the back knee, bend the front knee, and guide that back foot down towards the floor. Find your Virabhdrasana II one more time. Lengthen out the front leg, hands to the hips, turn those hips forward, and then we'll go back to the Parsvottanasana. Parsvottanasana. And your pyramid pose. And then down into your lunge. Into your side lunge. And into your squat. Practice safely, honor your body, and move the way it needs to move today, tomorrow, and always. Happy practicing.